Hello, my podcast people, and thank you for joining me for yet another episode of my favorite podcast. Today we are talking about how to get sponsorships and affiliate deals, aka how to get people to send you money and free things. Before that, we're going to make this episode kind of meta. I got an announcement, a little reminder, depends on how into my ecosystem you are. But I teamed up with Anchor. I brought them I brought Isaac on, the founder, onto the podcast before. But they recently launched their 2.5 pound plates, which is a huge deal, especially if you're using the Anchor system for any kind of rehab. But they launched their 2.5 pound plates and they sent me them. And I got a little Cody code for you. If you use the code Maestro ship, all caps, I believe, you'll get free shipping. So for those of you that don't know, Anchor, it's a cable training system that looks to replicate what you would get with a functional trainer, but the unit itself only weighs 8 pounds, which is kind of remarkable to me, and it's fully portable. I attach it to my rig in my garage. It's not really a rig, it's a pull-up rig, we'll call it. But there's a wall mount as well that has a sliding track, so you have options. The resistance goes up to 65 pounds, which people tend to use as the reason they don't want to buy it because they're like, oh, it's not enough. It is absolutely enough resistance for any unilateral work because it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So oftentimes when you go into the gym and you're using those big functional trainers, it's not 1-to-1. And also sometimes the plates are all like, you don't know how much weight it is. 65 pounds is a lot of resistance for this particular unit. And actually my guy Forrest, I hooked them up with Isaac. Hooked him up with Isaac, and Forrest has a bunch at the gym now, and Forrest is much bigger than me, and he's like, yeah, the resistance is fine, especially using for one arm. So I have a full video. They have 2 models out. They have the Anchor, and then they have Anchor Pro model. I have the Anchor Pro model. I have 2 of them, actually. I have a full comparison video up on YouTube. We will link that in the show notes. Thank you, Courtney. I fully believe, don't even bother with the regular Anchor. I know that it's more expensive to get the Anchor Pro, but it is worth it. If you want to hear from Isaac, that's episode 308. Why am I talking about this? They're not paying me to talk about this right now. They did send me a unit, but not in exchange for me talking about it. I'm talking about this on this episode because I love this company. I believe in what they're doing. I love the product, and y'all know I just want to put the best things in front of you. Again, there's no they weren't like, you have to go and talk about it on the podcast or anything like that. I choose how I share about them. And we'll get into that in the episode. But wanted to plug that, drop that. Remember, the code is Maestro Ship, and then you'll get free shipping on that. Happy to chat with any of you as well. If you're like, oh, I got a question about it, whatever. So just DM me, shoot me a text, whatever works best for you. But today we're going to be talking about this, which is how to get sponsorships and how to get affiliate deals and how to get companies to send you free things. I actually spoke about this same topic. I think it was called How to Get Brand Deals, though. That was episode 427 of Maestro on the Mic. We will link that as well. Thank you, Courtney. But once is never. And I actually sat down to do a different episode, but I wanted to talk about Anchor. And then as I was writing it out, I was like, well, let me actually just make the whole episode about how you can acquire these sponsorships. How can you form these relationships and get these kind of brand deals or these affiliate deals that you may want. So the title of the episode is How to Get Sponsorships and Affiliate Deals. Those are different. And so for the sake of this episode, let's kind of define those. Sponsorship is when the company will pay you a fixed amount to promote their stuff. Typically we see it with podcasts where the episodes will be sponsored by that company, and you'll kind of, talk about it. Maybe you have a discount code, something like that the people can use. Those codes are important because it allows you to track whether or not people are actually coming from you and buying their thing. So definitely, whether you get any kind of sponsorship or you're doing any kind of partnership, you want that ability to track how well you're doing and if your referrals are actually going through. So you're going to want some sort of code or something like that. So in this case, for Anchor, it was Maestro Ship. I have a discount code for them, but that is different. They can't work together. So Maestro Ship, you'll get a free shipping. And yeah, that's a little promo we're running with them. But an affiliate deal is when you get a commission for each thing that you sell. Many brands have this model already kind of baked in, and you can just sign up on their website. Chicken Pound has that, the place where I get chicken from. That's actually what I'm doing with them. They had a more official brand ambassador program, but I was like, I don't want to do this, because they had rules around it, like you have to post this many times and do stuff. And I was like, no, it's not worth it. But many companies have that affiliate model, and you can just sign up right on the website. But today we're going to talk about more formal relationships and typically larger dollar amounts, received, or a worthwhile amount of product that's received. So this is more formal approach to acquiring those sponsorships and affiliate deals. So I've broken this down into 4 suggestions on how to get these partnerships, these deals, these sponsorships, and we'll go through each one of them. First, I think this is the most important, is your own personal success, right? Have your own personal success. This, if we take a step back, this ties into, have you been able to help your people and get them results? Why? This is all a business play. Getting a sponsorship, getting an affiliate deal is very much a quid pro quo kind of thing. It's this for that. These brands, these businesses, these companies will give you money or product, but is in exchange for something else. And that something else is customer eyes. So the question becomes, do you have customer eyes? Do you have a captive customer, a captive audience? Do you have an audience that trusts you and listens to you? And if you recommend things, they're going to buy things from you. This is all going to start with you getting results for your people. So step 1 for getting brand deals, for getting affiliate deals, for getting sponsorships is going to be get results for your current people. This public success where, people are singing your praises or you're sharing your testimonials and things like that, that is actually how you're going to attract these brands and these companies. And they're going to ask you to represent them because they can see your audience, right? And they're like, oh, look, I see the trust that's there. I see that they have eyes. And that's the hardest thing to get, is the eyes. So that's when you'll have companies that will actually or may actually pitch you. That was actually what happened with Strong Coffee. They approached me and I was super hesitant. I really do enjoy Adam. I think he's a character. Brought him on the podcast. We can link that episode, actually. Thank you, Courtney. But he actually approached me and was like, hey, I would love to set up a call, love to chat with you about this. And I was like, but also it's instant coffee, so I don't know. But I'm so glad I gave it a chance, and I'm so glad that he reached out because I love it. I love the company. I fully support them. And I love working with them. So that public success is going to be how you attract the brands, how you attract the businesses that will perhaps pitch you and say, hey, we'd love to sponsor this, or, we'd love to have you as an ambassador or a representative of this company. The second thing that will help with you acquiring these sponsorships and affiliate deals is going to be being invested in the company. Very simply, support them and use their shit. This is actually really easy to create, almost like a paper trail of sorts, by simply tagging them in your stories. So before you even reach out, before there's any kind of communication, if you use the product, talk about it. And ideally, you've bought the product, you've done something with this product before you're going to go to them with a handout. This isn't always the case. And I can think of 2 instances, off the top of my head. I'm actually only one. It's going to be... I was going to say Normatec, but I was using Normatec products before. I hadn't personally bought them, but I was using them at the recovery center that was nearby. But for smart tools, their smart cuffs, I had not, promoted them or anything like that before. So that's a different example. That's going to tie into point number 3. But point number 2 is being invested in their shit, using it, buying it. This is oftentimes easier with smaller things, I don't want to say singular purchases, but things that are actually repeated purchases. So something like Celsius, anytime I drink that, I tag them because I'm like, maybe one day I'm going to want to reach out for some sort of sponsorship or reach out for them to, sponsor the live events that Jill and I do, something like that. And I want them to know, I really enjoy this and I have supported you and, I've been part of this and it's not just me walking up to you with a handout. This concept here of supporting them and being invested in their success ties into what I shared in episode 466, thank you, Courtney, which was titled Networking for Newbies. And in that episode, I borrowed the definition for a network, which was shared originally in the book, The Go-Giver. And in that book, they define a network as a group of people who are personally invested in seeing you succeed. If we look to create this network and we're personally invested in seeing these companies succeed, we use their stuff, you have a greater chance of if you do go to pitch them being more likely to say yes, right? So buy their stuff, talk about their stuff, know their stuff, right? This is going to help with the next step, which is asking, right? Being personally invested in seeing them succeed, understanding what the product actually is, how it can be helpful to your audience, how you've been using it, maybe what can be made better, what is already amazing and super, super useful. But just ultimately becoming a super fan of their stuff. And bonus points if you create that paper trail, tag them in stories and things like that before you go to ask. So that's a great segue for point number 3 of how to acquire these affiliate deals and sponsorships, which is to ask. Yes, I think the more formal language here would be to pitch yourself, but with this, we're thinking about ultimately we are asking. So there's a few parts within this, and first is asking for a connection from a mutual connection, right? Asking for that hookup, that link from a mutual connection. So I'm thinking about right now, Anchor, and Brett Bartholomew was actually the connect. I had seen my guy Anthony actually first using it, and then I saw the Anchor unit in Brett's stories, and I was like, dude, what exactly is this? Do you like it? How'd you get one? And is there someone that you know that I could speak with? Because I am definitely interested in using it. Because again, the biggest thing with this Anchor unit is that instead of having a big-ass functional trainer, I don't have space for that. I have a home gym. I got a garage gym. But I saw these, it's literally this big, folks. Like if you're watching the YouTube, you can see it. If you're not, well, go watch my stories because that's in there as well. But actually, we can link the most recent video I did that's showing the Anchor Pro unit and the 2.5-pound plates. Thank you, Courtney. The most recent post I did. I don't know if I just said story or post, but it was a post. It was a reel. But I was like, hey, this looks great. And like, I could really use this. And, I've been looking at cable systems, but a lot of the cable systems they had, like, they're for free, for the plate loaded. And so the plate's like swinging all around. And I was like, this seems dangerous. And I don't want that. So the Anchor unit really solves that problem. So I reached out to Brett and asked for the connection, and he connected us. The other thing you can do is obviously reach out to that company directly. But when we're going to do that, this is where you want steps 1 and 2, or points number 1 and 2 in place first, which point number 1 was having your own personal success, bringing something to the table. And then point number 2, being invested in the company. So as for how you actually do this, DMs have actually always worked the easiest for me. Like that is also, where I have the audience, so they can just look at my profile and be like, oh yeah, we see the social proof there. We see what you might be bringing to the table. And that actually makes that a lot easier. And we may have that paper trail if you've been tagging them in your stories. If it's connecting via a friend, like with Brett, then the next step may be email or texting or a phone call, whatever works best for the person that's connecting you and the person that you're asking to be connected with. 2 things to focus on when you are asking or you're making this pitch. Number 1, transparency. And number 2, how you can help the company. How you can help the company is going to be obviously specific to your niche, but I want both of these things at the forefront when you are going to make this pitch, when you're going to ask. So for me, the transparency is always, I'm going to let them know I am pitching you. I am about to ask for something. I'm about to ask for money. I'm about to ask for product. I'm going to ask. And so I'm just going to read to you the exact pitch that I had when I reached out to the people, because I didn't know who it was, the people at Smart Tools to ask about getting a set of smart cuffs. This is BFR cuffs, which I am bringing the owner on. He's going to be on in May, I believe. We're doing the interview, so you can hear from him. But I wrote, and here's the DM. Hey, full transparency, pitch incoming. Craig from the Prehab Guys suggested I reach out to you directly via the DMs. I was planning on buying a set of cuffs to rehab a current knee injury, but I figured I'd inquire about setting up a discussion to get a set in exchange for some social, email, podcast promotion. I've partnered in the past with Normatech, RIP. because they got acquired by Hyperice, and so you can't even tag them anymore. Anchor and extensively with Rock Tape, former lead instructor. So I'm not new to the game. It's also obviously totally fine if you're like, nah, not interested. Figured I'd shoot my shot. Thanks so much for reading this. Maestro green heart emoji. So we see a few things there. One is the full transparency. And then two, I'm saying what I'm bringing to the table. There's some of that kind of name dropping there because I had reached out to Craig first from the Prehab guys. This ties into that second part about kind of networking and having this network. And I know I could reach out to Craig, and I know a bunch of people in this space. So reaching, name dropping there, and then also showing like, hey, I have my own personal success, right? I have skin in the game, which was point number one there. And saying that I've partnered with these other people in the past, these other bigger companies. And then they can also just see, they can go to my page and see what I'm bringing to the table in terms of an audience or captive customers. So that's the transparency part. And then the how I can help you part, right? This was not so much fully discussed in that pitch that I just said, that short little initial DM. We spoke about it later in subsequent DMs. But this is something that you want to absolutely be thinking about and make sure that you speak about when you have these conversations with the companies that you are pitching. How can you help them? It's not just what are you bringing to the table, right? Because they can see your audience size, things like that. But how do you actually see, you talking about this thing? What's the story that you want to tell? Like, you're really going to pitch here. So when I had the call with Isaac from Anchor, I actually just told him, like, one, dude, if you don't send me anything, that's totally fine. Because I wasn't specifically asking. I was just like, hey, maybe how can we work together? And I was just like, yo, this thing would be incredibly helpful for any cash-based physical therapists out there. They don't have a lot of space. They oftentimes don't have a ton of money to start off with. Although the Anchor unit is not cheap, but it's still cheaper than a functional trainer. I laid out talking points that if he was going to pitch or try to get in front of a cash-based audience, what they should be talking about, things that demographic, the cash-based physical therapy demographic, would want from this, what the things that they're concerned about. And this is why from the jump, I pitched those 2.5 pound plates. It's been a few years now and they're coming out now, but I told them, I'm like, hey, this is how you can make more money, essentially. This is how you can get into this other audience. You're not really in that world yet. He's really in the strength and conditioning side of things, sports performance. I'm like, there is a whole nother world that will buy this, that will see value in this. And then here's the tie-in. I can help you speak to them. I have connections within this world. I am from this world. I know how to speak to this world. And then here, I can start laying out, here's my audience size, here's the email things, here's my vision of how I would share you with the audience. But the whole thing is, I am leading with how I could help Anchor, and also very much then leading into how Anchor could help this demographic, right? Laying it out for them, really future pacing with them. I'm a big proponent of really pitching the podcast because I like to bring the owners on. I think it humanizes them. It's a captive audience, right? 45 minutes, an hour, and people are just listening. That's a side of the company that people oftentimes don't get to see. And so I make sure to say that to them, and so they can actually hear it and be like, oh, yeah, especially if you're talking to the owner, they may not, marketing may not be their main thing. And so if you can really lay it out for them, that can be incredibly, incredibly, incredibly helpful. In terms of what to ask for when you make this pitch, whatever you want. Like, I'm not going to say ask for $1 million, but I don't have strict parameters around this or strict guidelines around this. I personally like to ask for product. Because sometimes the things that I'm asking for are expensive. So Normatec, those are $1,200, and they sent everything for Normatec. They sent the hips and the arms and the unit and the backpack, and it was really expensive. And I was like, that's fine. I don't need commission on this. That's fine. I would love a discount code for my people, but not a code that's tied into commission. With Strong Coffee, I do get commission, but I told them I was actually willing to pass the commission on in order to get people more of a discount. And I just want product. I was like, I just want coffee. That's totally fine for me. With Fringe, I do get a commission with them. And that's largely because Allison forces me to. You get to choose what you want, whether you want to ask for product, whether you want to ask for money. From a podcast perspective, oftentimes if they're going to sponsor a podcast, they're just going to be sending you money. Maybe you get, you using that service, whatever, for free. It's up to you, right? You get to have these discussions. And yes, part of it's going to be based on what they've always done, but don't be afraid to pitch them something new, right? And then explain how this benefits your people, how this benefits them. Like, lay it all out for them. As with anything that is business related, and I talk about this a ton with just like launching an online business, the less trust you have with your audience, the more strategy you're going to need. Same with this. The less trust that you have with this company, the less trust that you have with your own audience, the more strategy that you're going to need when speaking to this company. So even with someone like Isaac, there was some inherent trust there already because he had spoken with Brett. He knew Brett. I was a referral from Brett. I do the same thing when I actually refer other people. Like there's already kind of shortcutting that trust cycle there a little bit because it's like, hey, I trust that person, and if you trust that person, then maybe there's some trust already in there. This means that you may need a more structured and formal pitch if you don't have some massive audience that trusts you. If you're not coming in with, a connection to a person who's connecting you with this business. Nothing wrong with this. I just want to lay that out there that I do believe that, I go in with a more colloquial approach, and I also just want to be a fucking human. Like I don't need to be like, oh God, I'm a business maestro. Like here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm bringing to the table. Here's who I am. We can sit down and have more formal things and write things out and get things in writing and things like that. But this is who I am, and this is how we're gonna be interacting. You will likely come up with more parameters around the relationship the more formal this is. So, X number of months of tracking or X number of months, we, commit to sponsoring this thing for X number of months. I think that you're more likely to have more parameters around things when they're sending you money as opposed to product, because depending on the profit margins of things, it can be very easy to send out product. Like I am an affiliate for LMNT or Element. I actually don't know how that's said. I say LMNT, and then I was with Jen this week, Dr. Jen Fit, and she was like, you mean element? And I was like, but it's actually LMNT. So I don't know. The electrolyte drinks, if you folks don't know what I'm talking about. But they send product. And I think that's easier than, if they're sending out money. And like the LMNT sponsors this podcast. I think that with that, they were just like, it's easy for them. There's more, they have larger margins, and so it's not as big of a deal to just keep sending that out to the people. But I also am thinking about Brian Borstein, brought him on the podcast as well. He's an affiliate, I think, for Legion now is the name of the protein, but he has to sell a certain amount of protein or amount of stuff each month in order to keep getting product. And I was like, that seems like a fucking headache. So your choice with that. But just, I want you to understand that there probably will be more parameters around the relationship when money is involved and not just product. If you are looking to score a podcast sponsorship, that is not my zone of genius by any means. But you can absolutely get one just by doing the three things that I talked about already. But if you're looking for more guidance with that, my guy, Joe Casabona, he is great. And actually, now I'm thinking about this, I need to bring him on the podcast. I went on his, and then I had the guest episodes paused, so I get to make a mental note to bring him on. But if you reach out to Joe Casabona, his website, the one that I want to send you to, is actually podcastliftoff.com. I'll link that. Thank you, Courtney. He does a lot more on there than he does on social. He does a little bit on Instagram, but not a ton. But this is what he literally does for a living, is helping people get sponsorships for their podcast. And, you don't even have to have a zillion subscribers. And also, the podcast space is the Wild West. Yes, we hit 1 million downloads, but I could be lying. I'm not lying. I'm going to throw that out there. You don't actually know. It's impossible to actually look at this and be like, oh, I see their metrics. So this is where having discount codes or having codes that are trackable will be helpful, and also ensuring that the relationship is long enough that people will actually use those codes, right? People got to hear things a million times. I use that chicken pound code all the time. I put it up in my stories, but it's been months and months and months, and just now people are like, hey, don't you have a code for chicken? All right, so that could be 7 months later, 8 months later. So if you only have a sponsorship for 90 days, and then they're going to try and be like, oh, and then we'll assess how well it's working. That may not be enough time. But either way, you can hash that out and talk about that with Joe, because he loves that stuff. So that's Joe Casabona, podcastliftoff.com. If you want to check out the brands that I have partnerships with, you can head on over to themovementmaestro.com/partners. You can see everyone there. If you have any questions, I'm happy to talk about that. If you want to use any of the links and discount codes, that's awesome as well. All right. All of this, of course, will be in the show notes. It's linked in the actual thing, in the actual show notes, but then it's linked on the website show notes, which will be the movementmaestro.com/467. Right? That's the episode number. You can find the transcript, all the things. I should probably promote those pages more because we work really hard on them. Thank you, Courtney. Appreciate you times a million. Lex helps out with that as well. Appreciate both of you. But you can find all the things there. So that's all I got for you for today. If you're looking to get sponsorships and affiliate deals, 3 parts that are coming your way. Number 1, have your own personal success. Number 2, invest in that company. And then number 3, ask. That's it. Don't forget, folks, free shipping from Anchor if you use the code MaestroShip. That is all I got for you for today. As always, endlessly appreciative for every single one of you. Until next time, friends, Maestro